Okay, so hello guys, and welcome to this presentation of the character. Some of you might know, but if not, then you should know that I just released this character, and you can pick it up for free on Gumroad. I'll throw in a link for you. So you just find the link in both for the for my website and also for the Gumroad, where you can pick up the character for free. So I'm just gonna run through what you're gonna see once you get this character, and basically it's gonna look like this. So if I hit everything on. So this is what you're probably going to see, most likely, when you open it. If not, then we're just going to assume that this is the starting position. So the first thing I do here is that I select the global controller, and I'm just going to go in and say skeleton, turn everything off. So that's basically most of the mechanics. We still have a few things we want to turn off. So we go in and set the show to none, and activate the NURBS curves, the polygons, and then make sure that this polygon selection option is turned off, so you can't select the polygons. So that's basically how it's gonna look. So first things first. So I added in a few things on the legs here. So as you can see here in the attribute editor, there's an auto bend amount, and I added a few things, and I'm just gonna, for those of you who've seen the presentation before, this will be a little bit different because there's an update. So you can see here that I've added something I call the pressure control, and it basically comes from animals that are really like stepping hard into the ground, have this thing where they bend between their hooves and the lower joint here, so they have some flexibility here, and and that's lacking in a lot of rigs, but I added it in this one so you guys can really go in there and make something that looks really nice. So here's some like really pushing that'll give like a good idea of like how heavy it is when a horse is running, and that's the first thing I want to show. And for those of you who haven't seen this presentation before, the way it works is that you have an auto bend that you can either take on and off. So I'm gonna go in here and take that off, and as you can see now, the lower part here is standing stiff. But if I go in and give this a 0.5 now, you can see that it moves, and it'll give me like an automated move, which is great because that means that we can sort of like push through our animation a lot faster by just blocking in something quickly. So that's the auto bend, and then we still have the heel roll and the toe roll, all that stuff, and we can still just move our leg around like this. We can also bend it like this way. So that's basically the legs. The pole vectors are here, and that's basically it for the legs. So the next thing I've added here in the newest update is also an IK tail. So it's an IK and an FK tail, so you can either just use the end controller here, or you can use these FKs to make follow-throughs in your animation. So you can select the yellow one here in the beginning and move that down, start posing the tail, depending on how fast he's running. Obviously you can go side to side, whatever you want. Another thing I've added is also on this hip control, I've added a back armor. So if you move that around here, you can still see you get just some freedom to move this around and make it like a little bit wobbly when he's running, so there's like some extra movement. Same thing as with the shoulder pads. You know, you have the shoulder pad control here. At the same time you have your shoulder rotation here, right? On the hands, there's a few auto bends here. They'll just make your life a little bit easier if you want to bend all the fingers at the same time. You can of course still bend all of them individually, and I've also attached or constrained in the fingers. So for the scale, sorry, I live in central London. It's a little bit noisy once in a while. So yeah, I left the scales here. So yeah, there should be like a lot of flexibility in the hands as well. It's the same thing for the front leg as for the hind legs. You know, you have the auto bend and the pressure control here. So you have your front chest controller here, and then otherwise it's an IK chest that's running up here as well. And you can choose the thickness and fatness he's gonna get as soon as you move him up. So if I move him up like this or lower, some of you might have seen the tutorial I've done on how I do my spines. So you can see here if there is some thickness or some fatness that you guys want to change. So if you want to change, like, okay, he should get thinner as he gets in, so let's try and change these, except for the outer ones. Let's make him a little bit thinner, and the further in we get, the more skinny he gets. So you would basically have like a lot more. Maybe this is what it works like if it's really fat or full. But the trick here is that no matter if you put him just on 0, no matter what these values are, nothing will happen. It's depending on how much you're stretching his body. So yeah, have fun with that. Have fun with that. And then the next thing I want to show you guys here. So the arms have pull vectors here. Probably there's going to be an update where those are going to be automated, but for now, just keep it like this. And then the next thing here is that on the hands we have something called global human hip. So you can basically make his arms follow a specific part of his body. So if I set it to head, and I now put, let's try and do something. Yeah, we could make his, if he's grabbing something on his head, for instance, and you wanted his hand to follow, you can see now. So his hand is actually following his head. So let's say that his hand was on top of his head, it would basically lie still on top of his head. So and the same thing goes if you put it to, let's try and set that to human hip. Let's try and go there. So I suppose that this could be this one. So you can see like his hand is now attached to that hip, so he could basically have his hand on his side. Maybe we can make it a little bit flamboyant. Drop the shoulder a little bit here. Okay, a little bit of an attitude. And then try and move this up here. So you know, like, you know how it means, it'll follow. So that's all good. And there's a ton of space control, so you can basically decide where you want that to follow. Like, I think I left it, yeah, that's about 5. So that's basically stuff for the body, you know. It's like your spline is the same thing here, and you can see you have the same control. And here you can also see that I've left in the amount of stretchy that happens. So if you go over 1, it means that you're basically going over what's regular for him. You know, it's not. It's when it's like becomes unnatural when you use the squash and stretch a lot. But you can basically tell from this, like, I'm 1.2 out from what I should be, and if it's about 1, that's when he's like in the most neutral common position. So that'll give you like a good idea of if you're exaggerating too much. And moving on a little bit to the face, but not too much, because I want you guys to explore as well, and I'm sure you can come up with a lot better things to do with it than I can. So basically you open his eyes by moving these two up and down, or you can use these controllers here, which will basically, no matter where you kind of put them, his eyelids will always stay on top of his eye, which is really handy, because then you don't have to worry about like going too crazy or anything. If you drag it really extreme like this, something will go crazy, but you have to push it quite a lot to make anything intersect with your eyes. Also, if you can combine shapes here, so if I put down these two, it's gonna go into like a relatively nice and appealing pose. Same thing goes with like everything on his face. It's all combined into nice shapes, you know. I mean, some people have mentioned that it would be nice to have some some nasal labia folds here. It's a design choice, really. I mean, I could have added that in. I left it out. I think this looks pretty good. I like it, especially like from the side views. I don't want to exaggerate those things too much. He's not that old. So the mouth opens here, and you can basically, the trick is here that you have one controller in the middle that's controlling all 3 of them, or in this case for the eyes, all 5 of them. And then you can tweak these small ones here. Oh, sorry, let's get that correct. So you can tweak these small ones here to get that really extra tweak stuff in that you want to do. And we can lift his cheeks up a little bit. Maybe we can also we can go into these things here, and if you look inside his mouth, you'll notice that there are some controls in here, and you can add on teeth control, make his teeth a little bit smaller and bigger. So all this is exactly as it was in the old rig. I mean, I didn't change too much in the facial rig, added a couple of shapes, and that's basically it. Ponytail is as usual, hair is the normal stuff. So You can still scale and rotate and translate his ears like crazy. Anyways, I want you guys to like open this rig up now, and now that I've just released it for free, I really hope to see a ton of both feedback, but also a ton of super cool animation with it. And please, somebody do some cool dialogue stuff with him, because the facial rig was a really big amount of work. The body is alright, but I can script most of this setup, so the facial rig is where I really like to really see some stuff. Anyways, I really hope that you guys have a lot of fun with this character, so please send me anything that you do. I'd love to see it. I really do. So yeah, good luck, and let me know how you get along. Cheers, guys.